Continuing on the upper boot cowl skins, and I think this video is going to show me finishing this, putting these little strips in, and I have those match drilled. I guess this is kind of a waste of time because the very next sentence says to just trim as needed to have those clear. They were a little bit close on this side, so I put the spacer in when I match drilled these. This, I know I can just clamp it on, but somehow I like the idea of maybe pre-bending it a little bit so it fits. And if you remember from the other video, I had made these that I kind of just, sorry, okay, we'll try it again. So I had made these 1x1s that I kind of just clamped in here. I have two of them. And then bend it. So this last edge kind of needs to be a little bit longer here and flush there. So I took a 2x3 and I just put a bigger gap in it that allows me to kind of line it up. And you can see my markings here. I want it to kind of start curving there, but this part being straight. So I can put that there, and then at, oh sorry, probably out of the camera here. Put this here. Put that up there, and then I can kind of just bend that into shape. So that's one side. And then same thing here, I have kind of the markings where I want the bend to start. So I just basically want to add a little bit more of a bend here, but keep this radius. So a line from here to about 1.5 inches up there. It'll match the airplane pretty good. So kind of go in here, go in there, you don't want to kink it, just convince it to go that way a little bit. Yeah, we'll test fit that. I'm going to try the same method on the lower boot cowl side skin here, and basically what I'm trying to achieve is just to get this to bend, you know, to kind of sit a little more comfortable that way. It's straight here, but you kind of see where the red line starts. I just want it to kind of curve in, so I just convince it to go that way a little bit. So as you can tell, there's only one cleco in here, but it just makes it sit. This side doesn't have any clecos in it. It just makes it sit really, really nice. So the panels kind of fit without having to be stressed with the clecos. I think it'll just make for a nice edge. All right, the next step will be to open up these bad Larrys here. I kind of just marked it very primitively where it's gonna be. Where it should be from the plane, but what I'll probably do is I'll use one as a template and move this thing out another 1/4 inch, and I think that should be good. I think that came out pretty good. It's basically a 1/4 inch longer than it was. Did them both at the same time, so they look the same. And it's funny because you could actually tell that this fit up, this trim piece they give you, the cutout from here to here was actually bigger than the metal cutout from here to here. So now should technically actually be a little more in line with the overlap. All right, I'm real happy with how that turned out. That 1/4 inch seems to be just perfect. This one still has the little spacer in it, but they seem to be very similar on both sides. And I'm also happy how this turned out. There's nothing holding it. These panels pretty much sit in place with very little clamps or clecos. Now, some transfer drilling. Got all of those transfer drilled. I got the 5/8 inch strap in up here. Today's project will be to get the lower part of the straps in, and then the the cowl attachment straps, which are these big ones here. I played around with pre-bending these. I'll show you how I did that. I was pretty happy with that. This is the top one. That's kind of pre-bent to go in there. This is the right side of the plane. That's kind of pre-bent to go in there and up there. And I also cut this guy in half, and that'll go on the bottom. I still need to trim out this little area here, which probably would have been easier when I have the piece flat, but then it also affects how easily or unevenly it would bend, but it seems like all the bend is after the cut part, so maybe it makes a difference, maybe it doesn't. So the way I got the shape of this, first you gotta make sure that you're going the right way. So I already marked this one. So this is the left side, right side. I get it backwards looking at the plane. This is the passenger side. The other one that I talked about was the pilot side, or the driver's side, whatever you want to call it. All right, so anyway, this one's gonna be bending this way, and I kind of just massaged it over this tube very gently. Put a little more emphasis between the holes, because it likes to bend obviously where the holes are, because there's less resistance. Okay, you go a little bit more up there. And then the bottom one, obviously you got to work it a little bit until you get it right, but the bottom one's going to be a much tighter bend, and it's going to be bent in this way. So kind of do the same thing. Kind of roll it. Just and this particular one, on the very bottom, I actually used one of these pliers. I believe it's used for duct work, just to be able to grab that. A little more work to do on the top there. But a little more. You get the idea. Yep. So I did the same thing with these little side straps Obviously you want to make sure that they line up with the pre-drilled cleco holes, and final fit will be once I put them in. I always find it helpful to have different size tubes and round things laying around. I use them for sanding. I also have a bunch of different spacers that I always cut up, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch. They just come in handy when you're trying to space up things. Kind of like my foam blocks up there. It's just like a second hand that just makes it a little more accurate. Alright, so you got that lower strap in. You probably noticed that I actually put the side skins directly onto the flange without the strap, and then match drilled it. And so that made it a little bit tight getting the actual strap in, but tight is good. So I think we're good there. I did get it to fit. Took a little bit of manipulating, getting it back and forth. Both sides were about the same. One thing, dog's barking, sorry, that I kind of still have to do is trim this little lip off of this one side skin. For some reason, don't ask me why, it's forward by about as much as 1/8 of an inch, and then 1/16 of an inch down here. What? What's your problem? I know, I'm talking to myself. I tend to do that. All right, on to the big straps. Alright, this little mod needs to be done here. The way I went about it is basically I measured it and it lined up perfectly, because from the center of the pre-drilled holes on the flange to the edge of the flange is, what did I say, 5/16 or something like that. And then they want you to overhang it 3/8 of an inch beyond that, which should leave you with about 9/16 inch to cut off. And that worked out perfectly on these. I did that by using a step drill bit, like so. Mark that. I went parallel from this line over to the third hole, which just looks like it's a little bit lower, but should work. I just wanted them to be the same. And then cut that off with a wheel and cleaned it up with a file. And yeah, came out pretty nice looking. That's the one that's gonna go in here, so hopefully it'll fit. All right, got them all in. They all fit nice and tight. And then next up is I'm gonna trim this off here. So I just basically put these in. I'm gonna mark them, cut them. All right, that worked out nice. I also drilled that other hole through. This gap I left pretty similar to the gap that they give you. Heat expansion, I presume. And next up is the little visor skin. All right, so I basically measured, I put little nick marks top and bottom where it's 2 inches in, because it's supposed to be protruding 2 inches. Then I found the center. I used this as a reference line. Then I used my famous method to kind of roll it over that just to get the shape for it so it sits a little nicer. Other people use the Armstrong bend, I believe. This is my PVC tube strong bend. Either works. Then what I did is I just drew this line here because it seems to be straight between the two notches, and I went in 2 9/16. So in theory, a 2-inch overlap, that 9/16, a little more than ½ inch, will line up with the pre-drilled holes on the upper skin, and I should be able to mark them, and hopefully left and right, far left and far right will fall into place. Alright, so putting those markings there to line up with the holes, that was a waste of time because this is arched, so you literally only get to line up, I believe, the outside holes or something. That's probably why it says 2 inches in the center, which is exactly what I did, and then it gets a little bit more from the top skins. So basically just gonna make it so it's even on both sides, and then I'll mark these holes with a pen, and I'm probably not gonna drill them inside here. I'm gonna drill them outside so they so I don't mess up the panel mount underneath it. Alright, so I got all my holes drilled. The other thing I did is, oops, I took that little nub off. Like this was consistent cord width here, so I just made it so it contours the top skin, so you don't have a little jagged edge sticking out. I'm happy with this distance from here to here is very close to this distance from there to there. And then I think I've said it before, but these things are fingernail things that you can buy on Amazon, but they are great for like deburring the edges, you know, especially get into the round corners and stuff like that. It's actually much easier than a file. Yeah, you go through them, they don't last very long, but they're also not very expensive. So I thought that was useful. All right, that's all in. Real happy with the way that came out. That was actually easy and enjoyable. Part of the pain in the booty cowl. And I did drill these in 40s, and they all line up nicely. I'm gonna go over and upsize them to 30. And I think that might be the end of the boot cowl for now. See how long this video is, but if I don't add anything to it, I'm gonna say thank you for watching. Hope it was helpful for someone, and I thank all of the other people posting videos, because honestly, yeah, it really helps. And thank you to all you guys.